There is a specific type of loneliness that happens when you are surrounded by people, and yet nobody knows your childhood. Nobody knows the smell of your grandmother's kitchen. Nobody knows the song they played at your high school prom. You chose this. You got on a plane for a better future, higher salary, safety, opportunity. But 3 months in, you realize something terrifying. You didn't just change your address, you fractured your identity. Today, we are looking at the psychology of the immigrant and why the people who leave everything behind are simultaneously the bravest and the most broken people in the world.
Psychologists call the decision to emigrate a voluntary dislocation, but don't let the clinical term fool you. To your brain, leaving your country feels very similar to a loss. When you leave, you suffer what Dr. Florian Holzbohr calls the rupture of the familiar. Your brain has what are called schemas, mental shortcuts that predict the world. You know how to buy bread, how to argue with a landlord, how to greet a stranger. When you land in a new country, every single schema breaks. You don't know how to buy a train ticket. You don't know which side of the escalator to stand on. Suddenly, you have the cognitive load of a toddler, but the responsibilities of an adult. This rupture triggers the HPA axis, the stress response. Cortisol floods your system. And here is the cruel irony. You left for a better life, but for the first 6 months, you are objectively less happy than you were when you were poor at home.
But the psychology gets darker and more interesting. It's called dual grief. You are mourning the life you lost and simultaneously mourning the life you could have had if you stayed. This creates a paradox. Every time you succeed in your new country, a promotion, a new apartment, you feel a twinge of guilt. Why? Because your success proves that leaving was the right choice, which means you abandoned the people you love. Psychologists call this immigrant guilt. Your parents are growing old on a screen. Your siblings are having babies you hold via FaceTime. You are living the dream, but you feel like a defector. And then there is the language barrier. Even if you speak English perfectly, if it isn't your mother tongue, you revert to a different persona. Research by Dr. Boaz Kesar shows that people make more rational, utilitarian decisions in a second language because you lack the emotional anchor of your native tongue. You are literally a different person here. Quieter, simpler, less funny. And that loss of humor, that hurts worse than the lack of money ever did.
Here is the scary part. You go home for Christmas after 3 years away. You walk into your old room, you hug your mom, you eat the food. But something is wrong. You don't quite fit here anymore. Your friends are talking about local politics you don't care about. You talk too fast. You have foreign manners. You realize you are too foreign for home and too home for the foreign land. This is the Roberta effect, named after a character in a play who goes back to her hometown only to find she is a ghost. For the rest of your life, you will live in this liminal space. You will develop what psychologists call a bicultural identity. And here is the plot twist. This pain is the engine of your growth. Because people who navigate two cultures aren't confused. They are expansive. Studies show that expatriates score higher on integrative complexity, the ability to hold two opposing ideas at once. You know that two things can be true. You can love your homeland and be glad you left. You can miss your mother and never want to move back.
So, how do you survive the psychology of leaving? You stop thinking of it as escape. You start thinking of it as self-parenting. When you are an immigrant, you are alone. There is no safety net. That is terrifying, but it is also liberating. You learn that you are resilient in ways the people who stayed home never had to discover. You learn to build a family from scratch. You learn that home isn't a GPS coordinate. It is a feeling of safety you carry inside your sternum. The dark secret of the immigrant psychology is this.
the pain never fully goes away. That longing, that saudade, Portuguese for nostalgic longing, it becomes a part of your personality. But so does courage, so does adaptability, so does gratitude. You left your country because you believed you deserved more. Do not let the loneliness convince you that you were wrong.
If you are watching this and you are the one who left, I see you. The first winter is the hardest. The second is confusing. By the third, you realize you have 2 homes, but no home. And that is the price of a better future. Leave a comment below. What is one smell, sound, or feeling you miss from your home country? And if you are thinking of leaving, don't ask yourself if you will be happy. Ask yourself if you are brave enough to be a beginner again. Subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of modern life. Take care of your mind, traveler. You've come a long way.